All right, so I want to talk a little bit about PRs, personal records, progressive loading. A lot of people don't do that in the gym. They don't record. They don't have any data. They don't track data. And it's important for a host of factors, many reasons why progressive loading is something that you should do. You should track your data. And I want to just kind of go over one of the reasons why, one of many reasons why. I had a client that I was training today, and she asked me, do you have any muscle groups that you literally hate training? That was crushing her legs, right? And she asked, do you have any muscle groups that you don't like to train? And I said, yeah, legs. I'm not really interested in training legs. And I said most men are not interested in training legs. And typically for women, it's the opposite, right? And I had mentioned this is one reason why PRs can be important. So if you really dislike training a muscle group, making progressions and having data will actually keep you honest. Because if you don't have that data and you're not tracking, now the caveat is obviously you have to progressively load in strict form, keep your tempo and the mechanics. Things have to be dialed in with that progression. You're not just doing a willy-nilly CrossFit set. So progressive loading in strict form with these strict variables is very important whenever you do progressively load, that is, whenever you make these PRs. So I said, yeah, one big reason why, one of many, why having data and recording it and making PRs, one good reason is so it keeps you honest. So if there is a muscle group that you don't like to train and you are very resistant or you are intensity adverse to a muscle group, then having the data and trying to beat your previous records is actually a good thing, and it keeps you honest, right? So it's crazy, that light. That's a really important factor or component in making PRs. One of them, there's many of them, but it keeps you honest on a muscle group. Because if you don't have that progression, if you don't have that data, you don't have that PR, and you go in and you train legs and you don't like to train legs or upper body, you hate training shoulders or whatever it is, and you don't have a progression model to where you are forced essentially to progress. 9 times out of 10, unless you're super just motivated to do this, that workout that day, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get to a certain point in the set and you're like, oh, that's good enough. I'm good. And you feel that burn, and it hurts. It hurts, and you put it down, right? So that's what happens. But if you have a PR, if you have a progression, if you look at your records and you're like, all right, well, I have to beat this, then you are essentially forced into a position to make that PR, and it keeps you honest, and by default, it actually pushes you. So we all have muscle groups that we don't really love to train, right? We all have those muscle groups. And other muscle groups we love to train. It's almost like we don't even need records because we push ourselves because we're like super, like we want that muscle to shine, to grow, to get pumped. Other muscle groups, not so much. And so one good reason of having data and recording your workouts and having these PRs is so it forces you to push on those muscle groups that you don't really want to push on in the first place. Now, again, granted, like I said, the caveat being that your mechanics don't change, your tempos don't change, you don't fall out of form, you're not doing anything crazy. You know, that is the stipulation here. But if those things are in check, then it's really good to have that data and to make those PRs, especially for those muscle groups that you hate to train or dislike to train and are more prone to just letting them take a back seat and not really giving it the push that they need. So those are my thoughts on the PRs. I just had a client ask me the question, and I thought it would be good to share that, yeah, we all have those muscle groups. And this is one reason why making PRs and having data to progress is important.